In the modern world, we are bombarded by information, opinions, and noise that often leave us feeling lost and directionless. But what if I told you that true power doesn't lie in shouting to be heard, but in learning to listen to the silence? It may seem contradictory, but the greatest Buddhist teachings reveal that it is in silence that we find the deepest answers to the questions that trouble us. And the solution to that restlessness you feel may be within your reach, in a way simpler than you imagine. In this video, you will discover how silence, a practice so often underestimated, can transform your life in ways you never thought possible. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, and share this video with all those you love. Words are like sharp blades, capable of cutting deeply, but also of healing with the same intensity. In the heat of an argument, for instance, a thoughtless word can leave scars that last a lifetime, while a word of support can lift someone up in their most difficult moments. Like a key that can open or lock doors, the use of words requires wisdom and knowledge. In Buddhist teachings, this power is recognized as a force that must be handled with care, for the way we speak shapes our lives and those of others. When we think of words as tools, we realize that they can build bridges or erect walls. Imagine a boss who, instead of criticizing, chooses to motivate their employees with words of encouragement. The impact not only boosts the team's morale, but also creates a more harmonious and productive work environment. In this sense, words are not just sounds in the air, they carry the energy of our intentions and can transform realities. Buddhist teachings invite us to reflect on this, reminding us that sometimes silence can be more powerful than words spoken without thought. However, the true challenge lies in knowing when and how to use these words. It's not just about speaking, but about choosing the right moment, the appropriate tone, and the words that truly add value. Like a gardener who carefully selects the seeds to plant, we must choose our words with the same attention. After all, what we sow with words, we reap in our relationships and in our own inner peace. And this leads us to reflect on how the conscious use of words can open doors to deeper knowledge of ourselves and the world around us. There are moments in life when, despite having everything we ever wanted, a restlessness persists within us. Such was the life of a king who possessed wealth, power, and all imaginable luxuries, yet still felt a deep dissatisfaction. This constant unease led him to seek answers beyond the ordinary until he encountered a wise Buddhist monk. In his quest for wisdom and knowledge, the king realized that his external riches could not fill the inner void that plagued him. The meeting with the monk revealed something the king had never considered. The solution to his anguish did not lie in acquiring more things or surrounding himself with more luxury, but in looking within himself. The monk, with the serenity of one who understands the mysteries of the human mind, proposed a simple but transformative experiment to the king. This suggestion, based on Buddhist teachings, marked the beginning of a journey of self-discovery for the king, a journey that would challenge his understanding of power and control. When the monk suggested that the king spend 15 days in silence and solitude, the proposal seemed, at first glance, almost like a punishment. However, there was deep wisdom behind this simple exercise. Silence is often underestimated, but it possesses a transformative power that few understand until they experience it. In the first days, the king struggled against the flood of thoughts that invaded his mind, realizing how difficult it is to be at peace with oneself without the external distractions that usually fill our days. As the days of silence stretched on, the king began to make profound discoveries about himself and the world around him. The absence of words allowed him to dive into deep meditation, where he found an inner peace he had never experienced before. He he realized that silence was not an emptiness, but a fertile space where wisdom and knowledge could flourish. Through this process, the king began to understand that much of his anguish came from the excess of words and negative thoughts that dominated his mind. The king's connection with nature also deepened. He began to notice the simplicity and beauty that surrounded him, the song of the birds, the whisper of the trees, the flow of the river. These moments of contemplation brought to light a fundamental Buddhist teaching. True peace is not found in changing the external world, but in changing our internal perception. Silence allowed the king to see the world with new eyes, revealing a dimension of tranquility that had previously eluded him. This discovery was a turning point for the king. He understood that the excessive speech and turbulent thoughts had been the true sources of his restlessness. By silencing them, he found not only calm but also a new perspective on life. The wisdom gained during those days of introspection showed that often what we need is not more words, but more silence to hear what truly matters. And so, the king began to free himself from the invisible chains that bound him, opening himself up to a new way of living. The king realized that silence, far from being an absence of sound, is a space of unlimited potential. He learned that by being silent, he was not depriving himself of expressing ideas, but rather creating an environment where deeper and wiser ideas could emerge. This learning transformed his view of the power of silence, teaching him that many of the answers he sought were buried under the incessant noise of his own words. The monk, with the serenity of one who knows the secrets of the human mind, shared with the king profound teachings on the value of silence. He explained that in Buddhist teachings, silence is seen as the first step to self-discovery. It is through silence that we can access the deepest corners of our minds, where true knowledge about ourselves and the nature of the world resides. In this state of quietude, we are able to listen not only to what is around us, but also to the inner voice we often ignore amidst the chaos of daily life. The monk emphasized that most of our conversations are unnecessary and often harmful. He illustrated this idea by telling the story of a disciple who asked Gautama Buddha why he remained silent so often. Buddha responded that silence is a way of diving into oneself, where true understanding is revealed. This teaching is a reminder that wisdom is not in constant speaking, but in knowing when it is necessary to be silent in order to listen. These words resonated deeply with the king, who began to realize that his excessive speech had created many of the difficulties in his life. The monk then concluded by saying that if people spoke less and listened more, many of the problems we face daily would simply disappear. This Buddhist teaching on silence as a path to self-understanding and inner peace was a revelation for the king, who began to see the world differently, understanding that true wisdom is often found in the pauses between words. Silence, as the king discovered, is not just a pause in words, but the beginning of an inner journey. By embracing silence, he began to connect with his deepest essence, discovering a peace that transcends worldly concerns. This inner journey is a central aspect of Buddhist teachings, where silence is seen as a portal to self-knowledge and true freedom. When we allow ourselves this silence, we are able to explore the deeper layers of our consciousness, where true wisdom and inner strength reside. During this journey, the king learned that silence gives us the opportunity to hear the voice of our own soul. Amidst the noise of everyday life, this voice is often drowned out, but when we silence ourselves, it emerges with clarity. The monk taught the king that it is in silence that we find answers to the deepest questions, those that cannot be answered by words or superficial thoughts. This silent introspection allows the most profound truths to come to the surface, bringing with them a sense of renewal and vigor. This experience of diving into himself provided the king with a new perspective on life and his own abilities. He realized that true power does not come from outside but from within, from a place of calm and wisdom that can only be accessed through silence. This inner journey, taught by the monk, proved to be an inexhaustible source of peace and clarity, allowing the king to find new strength to face life's challenges with serenity and wisdom. Throughout his journey, the king began to notice the transformative impact that silence could have not only on his own mind but also on his relationships with others. He noticed that, by speaking less and listening more, his interactions became more meaningful and respectful. In Buddhist teachings, this practice is essential for building more harmonious and authentic relationships. When we set aside the need to speak at every moment, we create space for others to express themselves as well, creating a more balanced and genuine exchange. The king also observed that the people around him began to pay more attention to the few words he did say. Silence, he realized, can be a powerful tool for strengthening presence and authority in any environment. Those who speak less but with purpose tend to be more respected and heard. This change in the dynamics of his relationships was a revelation, showing that silence is not only a tool for self-knowledge but also for building deeper and more authentic connections with others. Furthermore, the king learned that silence can prevent many conflicts and misunderstandings. By avoiding the impulse to respond immediately, he had time to reflect on his words and intentions, resulting in clearer and more effective communications. In Buddhist teachings, this practice of reflecting before speaking is fundamental for maintaining harmony in relationships. Silence, therefore, is not just a pause between words, but a conscious strategy for living more wisely and connected with those around us. After experiencing the profound effects of silence and solitude, the king understood the importance of cultivating these moments daily. He realized that setting aside time to be alone, even for just a few minutes, can bring a sense of renewal and mental clarity. In Buddhist teachings, the practice of daily solitude is seen as a path to strengthening the spirit and self-knowledge. It is not about isolation, but a meeting with oneself, where the mind can rest and recharge. Now that you understand the transformative power of silence, think about how you can integrate it into your daily life. By dedicating a few minutes of your day to the practice of silence, you may begin to notice a significant change in how you handle stress, relationships, and daily challenges. It's not just about finding inner peace, but about living more consciously and balanced. Apply these Buddhist teachings and see for yourself how silence can be a powerful tool for your personal evolution. To continue this journey of self-discovery, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. That way, you won't miss any of the upcoming videos that will help you continue growing. Also, share this message with anyone you believe could benefit from the rich information presented here and leave your comment below. Let's walk together on this path toward a fuller and more conscious life.